life, I've been a performer, a musician, beloved and celebrated by all. But I have a secret. I'm also a playground for sprites and spirits and worse. The voice that rings inside me now is darker than any that came before. Almost caused a bunch of my fans to rip each other to pieces. But you can trust me. I've got this under control. Step 1. Find out who or what is trying to take control of my mind. Step 2. Make it sorry it ever tried.
I'm not picky, so long as the arrow flies straight.
The royal guard's eyes widen as you approach, beast in tow. His calloused fingers reach towards the wolf insignia adorning his uniform.
Marcus Miles.
Beast remains silent, though his clenched jaw reveals his resentment. He moves his hand towards his weapon.
Calm yourself, Marcus. You don't know me, but I know you. The rebellion lives. You're lucky to have found an ally here. You won't find many in this house, and certainly not among the Queen's regiment. That Isabel hasn't found me out is a minor miracle.
Justinia.
I'm told Justinia came to express her best wishes to the bride and her father. Whether the Queen's still inside after all the commotion, I can't say. It seems the Void sent some uninvited guests. And I imagine Ross found Justinia a suitable hiding place.
The guard leans closer to Beast, his voice tight.
The rebellion is in danger. You are in danger. Do not reveal yourself here, Marcus. The guards won't know you unless you announce yourself. Your rebels braved the hinterlands, they braved the wave dancer, and now they brave a poisoned court. They need you alive.
He nods to the door, then takes the rigid stance of a proper royal guardsman.
Should do a stop. Oh, I didn't see you there. Sorry, it's been, quite a day. You need a hand with anything, let me know.
Bloody Void woken at a wedding.
No, the boss's daughter was tying the knot. Guards were to make sure it was invite only. Not that it made any difference. There's no way we could have known. But even in these times, one doesn't expect a Void woken to appear at a wedding. I'll tell you something though, we'd no problem with those filthy beasties till all these guards showed up.
At a wedding. If that ain't a bad omen, nothing is.
You and me both. Worked for Ross for a decade. I'd half expected an invitation of my own. But even with half of Arx lying dead in his garden, he still wants the shop open. Then again, if I'd been at the wedding... The fact that the boss loves counting his pennies is probably the only reason I'm breathing. That said, it doesn't feel right to be hawking wares with that next door. Job's the job, though. Can hardly leave Arx with naught but empty pockets. Don't know much. Everyone was out in the garden for the wedding. I was watching the shop and then... Guards were everywhere, but those beasties just cut through them like butter. Boss said to keep the doors open, but truth be told, I feel ill just standing here. By Duna, closing can't come fast enough. Take care of yourself.
About fighting monsters.
The Royal Protector sighs at Beast, but barely looks up from the floorboards as she addresses him.
If you're here for the wedding, there was... It's over now. So be on your way.
Beast gives you an inquisitive look.
Cut short, was it? Well, then you won't mind if I head in. Royal business. Wouldn't concern you.
Look, There's been a tragedy. Bride's completely broken about it, poor thing. So like I said, be on your way.
Beast begins rifling through his pack, looking for something to gain entrance, then shrugs and meets the guard's increasingly wary gaze with a charming grin. A frustrated groan emerges from under her helmet.
Sorry, I can't let you through.
Beast's shoulders slump as he turns away.
Looks like I'll be handing the talking stick to someone else next time, eh?
Get away from the door! Where were you when we needed you, hero? The Voidwoken are dead, and half the guests with them. You should be on your way.
She peers closely at you.
All right then. Apologies for the delay. You may step inside. I'll warn you though, it's no party in there.
Party's over if that ain't obvious. Best go home.
He looks you up and down.
I was posted indoors.
The sooner the
I'd be
better.
drawing breath now if I was in the
He takes a
garden.
deep breath, then lets it out again, slowly.
Out in the garden. Beautiful sight. Till the Voidwoken showed up. It was a goddamn bloodbath.
Gods, I am so sorry. How could I have known?
She looks up at you with glassy eyes, wiping her tear-streaked face on one brocade sleeve.
A girl's wedding should be the happiest day of her life. I don't know how this could happen. Who would have seen it coming?
She looks down at her feet. Seeing her blood-spattered wedding slippers, her face crumples and tears spring from her eyes.
I should be so happy. Everybody should be so happy. But before we could even cut our wedding cake, there were Voidwoken everywhere. We barely made it indoors alive. But not everyone was so lucky. I can hardly bear to think of them. Their wives and husbands and children back in the kingdom, left to grieve alone. What are you insinuating? We're merchants, not mystics. You should have seen those void monsters. All that blood, all that death. They didn't deserve... We didn't.
She buries her head in her hands, sobbing uncontrollably.
Lucky I was posted. That I'd be drawing breath now if I was in the...
A well-dressed dwarf paces around the room, overseeing the packing of trunks. He doesn't look up as he addresses you.
Yes, thank you for coming. Indeed, it would have been a beautiful ceremony, if only...
The dwarf trails off as he takes in the sight of Beast. His face goes from soft to stern, and your dwarven companion looks to you for guidance.
Marcus Miles, you should get out of here. Go back to the high seas and sing your shanties and do whatever else your band of brigadiers does. We'll all be better off.
Come now, Ross. Is that any way to talk to a distinguished member of the royal family?
Heh, you're no royal, not anymore. A beast you were and a beast you remain. There's only one reason you'd come to Arx. You're looking for Justinia. Heed my advice and leave this place before you do something stupid.
Look, I can't change the past, and I'm sure as hell not going to apologise for it. But Justinia's in trouble. Big time. And if anyone can talk some sense into her, it's me.
He peers into Beast's eyes, looking for a sign of honest intent, and, satisfied, his face softens.
When the crackdowns and decrees came, I defended her. But when she exiled you, I joined in the applause. But this new plan of hers, I want to believe I do, but death fog? Something's not right, Marcus. She's tuned me out. Well, she's tuned everyone out. Everyone but that advisor of hers, that Isbale. Her quacking all but drowns us out. She's holding court in the sewers, if you can believe it. Go to my wine cellar. Pull out the vintage called Lula Bell. It will open the way for you. I don't know what Justinia's endgame is, Marcus. But I don't want to be anywhere near when it begins.
You've come to serve, yes? Excellent. Bring me my slippers. Chop chop. Do hurry. My hooves are shivering from the chill.
The dwarf stares grimly into space. Rings adorn his fingers, some of which glitter with ornate rose-tinted jewels. You notice one has a gem missing.
If you'll excuse me, I'd just as soon be left with my thoughts. Oh, you've met my new mother-in-law, have you? I swear it. Old man Ross has an unhealthy attachment to that animal. I prefer it when they come in the form of rashers.
I bet you heard. I bet everyone is talking about this cursed wedding. Perhaps my warhorse of an aunt is right. Perhaps this is what I get for debasing myself. Still, what's done is done. The marriage is final. That's the important thing.
People die all the time. Weddings aren't exempt. Not even my own. Unfortunately, sometimes people survive beyond their usefulness.
The groom looks you over with a sneer and mutters,
No, I don't think you'll be of much use.
He turns back to the window with a grunt, anxiously twisting the rings on his fingers. She looks right through you, face slack with grief.
This is no time for jokes, stranger. Can you see what a terrible time we're having here? I can't accept them. I know you mean well, but how can I celebrate now? Void woken on my wedding day. At least my loving husband is still with me.
She turns and waves one timid hand to her husband on the balcony. He offers an apathetic grunt in return. She blinks back tears from her pink-tinged eyes.
Please forgive him. He's broken up. It's a lot to take in. We lost so much in the blink of an eye. What else? We're both torn to bits.
She takes a shuddering breath and idly itches her face. You'd expect her cheeks to be ruddy from tears, but they are pale instead, almost translucent, revealing the vessels snaking underneath.
I have been feeling peaky lately. My darling said it was the rosy glow of a woman in love. But now, I think it was a warning. A sign of the massacre to come.
The dwarf rubs his temples, his rings glittering rose gold in the light.
Yes, it's been a horrendous day. Still, it's a fine match. With her assets and my name, that is to say, we will be a force to be reckoned with.
He glances over at his distraught bride as she takes another sip from her goblet.
Events like today's do have a way of putting things in perspective. There's much to be gained from this alliance. It survived the Voidwoken after all. Out with the old, in with the new, I suppose. Yet, Old Man Ross left the incident quite unharmed.
Love? Goodness beard, is that what passes for sense among the lower classes? She's quite enamored with me, of course. I can be, well, irresistible. But no. In my family, marriage is a more practical matter. Our union means I can continue my work. A job? Oh, please don't be churlish. I'm no dairymaid desperate for her next meal. I follow my passion, alchemy. Potions which, at a sip, can heal or kill. Can grant strength, speed, or compliance. Which have the power to transform base metal into gold.
He glances across the room, where his betrothed is pouring herself another goblet of wine.
Yes, indeed. Our union will definitely be of value. Even with today's rather dark start.
I appreciate your candor, but please have a little discretion. I would hate for my new family to get the right idea. Not that it matters now, mind you. We are wed till death do us part. It will be a long, long life.
She looks right through you, face slack with grief. A well-dressed dwarf paces swiftly around the room, overseeing the packing of trunks. He gives you a cursory glance, worry etched on his face.
Yes, thank you for coming. Indeed, it would have been a beautiful ceremony if only... Dark times. Dark times indeed. Safe home to you now.
He quickly turns away and casts a worried gaze around the room, counting something on his fingers.
Oh, terribly sorry I mistook you for a guest. It was my daughter's wedding today. Voidwoken. At a wedding. Oh, it's too ghastly to contemplate, and yet it happened right here. Now, if you'll pardon me, as I'm sure you can imagine, I have terribly many affairs to tend to. Such chaos to right in the wake of this disaster. I appreciate your concern, but I'm sure you understand I'm quite overcome at the moment. Be sure to close the doors behind you as you leave. And, if I may, the city's in quite a state, as I'm sure you've noticed. Voidwoken within and without. Civil war between the powers that be. My advice? Leave Arx for fairer ground. No reason to remain.
You already know how close the danger is. If it all goes to hell, I don't plan on being anywhere near this place.
Ah, my darling Lulabelle. Isn't she a beautiful creature? A ray of light during dark times, when even a marriage ceremony can get cut short by tragedy. Yes?
Hell if I know. A terrible answer, but it's all I've got. But it wasn't long after she started hovering around Justinia that things started to change. Justinia's always been hard, if you know what I mean, but never heartless. I don't know what her endgame is, but I don't want to be anywhere near when it begins. She's holding court in the sewers, if you can believe it. Go to my wine cellar. Pull out the vintage called Lula Bell. It will open the way for you. And take this key. You'll know where to use it when the time comes. Is there more you need from me?
It stinks around here.
So much death on such a lovely day. They're alive, and they look hostile. Time to play.
What is happening out here? Haven't we seen enough tragedy today? I'm not in charge of health and safety. Wait, toys?
He considers the wreckage surrounding the X-cake. Understanding dawns.
That cake, it came from the doctor, with a letter of congratulation. It was truly a magnificent sight, but the wedding was cut short before we could even slice it. Voidwoken, sabotage, bad cake. You'd think someone had it in for our little lady. Few have seen his face, and no one knows his name. He corresponds only by messenger. The townspeople seldom speak of him, which is strange now that I think of it. He'll open your belly and fill it with jelly. The doctor is in, the doctor is in. He'll rip off your toes and shove them up your nose. The doctor is in, the doctor is in. Heard a kid singing that the other day. Her mother heard it too and beat the poor tyke senseless. That was funny, I have to admit. Gotta take your entertainment where you can when you're on duty. There is little to tell. He's just the doctor. He speaks to few, and few wish to speak of him unless they're desperate. No one even knows his name. It's easiest if I show you. Let me see your map.
He shakes his head and whistles as he identifies the doctor's home on your map.
If there was ever a house that was haunted, well, that's the one. They say almost no one gets in, and those who do never come out. Perhaps he feeds them cake, hmm? Can't say I blame you. I don't want to appear disloyal, but as dwarfen weddings go, this one had a tad more blood than usual. A tad.
Greetings. I am Cranley Hubert. I assume no further introduction is required. Oh, come now. Surely you've heard of my writing, or my work with the Historical Guild of Arcs? No? I think not. Perhaps I should show to you just how far below me you stand in intellect. Think of it as a lesson in humility. Let's see. 3 major houses govern the ancient empire. There's the House of Law, the House of War. Now, what's the third? Well, that was a rather straightforward one. You'd have to be an utter dolt to have not heard of the House of Dreams. Another question, then. In what year was our savior, Lucian the Divine, taken from us? Correct. Perhaps I'm still being too easy on you. Any drunk on the street could have gotten that right. Time for a real challenge. Name the first king of the dwarves. Clearly you have had some modicum of education in your time. One final question. Answer this correctly, and you can consider yourself a scholar on par with yours truly. Fail, and I shall have to show you my door. The Sorcerer King from times of yore, Brachus Rex, had a twin. What was her name? Well. I must confess, your knowledge is impressive. Please, allow me to invite you to join me in my private chambers for further intellectual discourse. Excellent. Please, come along. Quite simple, once you know the trick. You place a book onto the pile, and a hatch at the back of the fireplace is unlocked.
I'm telling you, Quercus, we'll do what we can, but humans are a lost...
Go on down. I'll be right behind you. my sanctum. True intellect flourishes best in the dark, don't you think? My sanctum, my intellectual womb, my palace of the mind. Welcome, and make yourself comfortable. Pray tell me, what's the darkest, most delicious nugget of knowledge you've come across in your time?
With a mischievous twinkle in his eye, Cranley glances from you to some nearby skill books, rare ones. He raises an eyebrow. Impress him, and we might win a prize, it seems. Cranley Hubert's eyes bulge with amazement.
Oh my, yes. And please, let's not be so formal. Down here, call me Gigi.
He gestures absently for you to select from the skill books as your reward. It seems that the poor fellow is quite taken aback by what you told him. Without another word, he wanders away from you, deep in thought. Cranley Hubert barely notices you. He is utterly engrossed in his thoughts, his brow furrowed.
Hard cheese lasts forever, full of marrowbone jelly. Well, hello, gorgeous. Care to hear about the power of cheese? I've got wheels and rounds and blocks and rolls and possibly more. But my wares are nuanced, with undertones of something rare.
She looks you up and down, then...
What's on my mind? Why, texture, maturity, taste. But most of all, I'm wondering what tickles your fancy. Looking at you, I think it may be power. Am I right? So I have not misjudged you. Now, we've established how you feel about power. How do you feel about law? Specifically laws relating to property and the acquisition of goods.
A glint appears in her eye, and she smiles. Then she raises her hands and shows you her rings.
Perhaps this is the power you seek. I've been waiting for the right customer to come along for these, but I warn you, power doesn't come cheap, even for someone as attractive as you. I have my little helpers, here, there, and everywhere. They find me the finest morsels in all of Arx. After all, why should the most delectable of foodstuffs grace only the tables of the nobility? Yes, you could be an asset. Very well. You can find my helpers, the Thieves' Guild, within the Ark sewers, in their so-called secret hideout. Here, I'll mark it for you. But approach carefully. The foul stench is hardly the sewer's gravest danger. heading driftward. Hear ye, hear ye. Magister's routed. Lord Kem's paladins back in charge. Hear ye, hear ye. Void-woken attacks increase. Citizens warned to be alert. Hear ye, hear ye. Kraken sighted at sea. Several ships missing. Hear ye, hear ye. Magisters colluded with Black Ring. Paladins clean house. Hear ye, hear ye. Queen Justinia confronts rebel factions. Dwarven royal stands tall. Hear ye, hear ye. Paladins promise the Good Counsel School will reopen soon. People respond, no hurry. Hear ye, hear ye. Stranger threatens kid. Town crier unhappy.
She sticks her tongue out at you, then gets back to work.
Hear ye, hear ye. Trouble brewing in the ancient empire. Dalle strengthens border defences. Hear ye, hear ye. Lucian's day arrives. Hopeful pilgrims take the path of blood. Not if you're without sin, it isn't. Hear ye, hear ye. Dwarven wedding interrupted by Voidwoken. Brave dwarves party on. Hear ye, hear ye. Cranley Hubert publishes latest edition. New book already out of date. Hear ye, hear ye. That's all the news that's fit to shout. Lucian's day arrived.
Too loud.
Business doesn't stop for long round here.
The proprietress gives you a sweet smile.
You look like someone who's ready for business. You look like someone with an eye for the main chance. You look like someone who needs an investor. I knew it the moment you walked in here. Here comes an enterprising lass, I said to myself. Here comes a woman who could take a sum of gold and turn a tidy profit. I can see it in your eyes. Whatever you're up to in the fine upstanding city of Arx, jewel of Lucian's blessed domain, I'd like to back you, financially speaking. But be warned, I demand security. You must make a deposit. And I always recover a debt. You understand, I'm sure. I bid you good day.
She smiles her sweet smile, dips her head in farewell, and turns away.
Cheap goods?
The proprietress gives you the same
Are you looking for someone to invest? Will there be anything else? How much do you need? I see. For that kind of money, my enterprising friend, I'll need to hear something of your business plan. Just the basic idea. Dispense with the details. Go on. Convince me. All right. You've convinced me. We have a deal. Here are the terms. I lend you the gold, and you leave me a part of yourself. The contract is bonded by blood. The debt is repaid at 50% or you die. That's the original stake plus 1/2 repaid on demand or you die. And know this, no one owes me money for long. That is, no one alive.
She smiles. She knows you believe her, or at least that you should. She reaches into the folds of her dress and produces an empty glass vial. She holds the vial up to you and locks her eyes on yours. The vial, you notice, begins to fill with a bright crimson liquid. A faint feeling flits over, and then is gone, and you realize that that blood is yours, and suddenly your purse feels heavier.
I hold your blood. No take-backs and no returns, and defaulters all die. Thank you for your custom. Please come again.
She smiles, her sweet smile, dips her head in farewell, and turns away.
Cheap goods or cheap loans?
She gives you a smile of the purest hate. Then she raises a hand and begins a silent incantation. You know that she is trying to boil your blood, but she cannot. Her power is gone. She tries to deflect as you tear at her source, but she is powerless and weak and cannot resist. She is yours, and then she is gone.
Weirdos in the cellar chased me away. You believe that? I don't. And I tried my best purring and my best meowing. I even did the slink thing against their legs. No luck.